Welcome to the news. I'm your host, Kellerman, and there's a bunch of going on in the world that you might want to know about. Leftist party, the New Popular Front, won the runoff elections in France this weekend, preventing the right-leaning RN party from having an absolute majority of the seats in parliament. But now the top three political parties have a similar number of seats, which has the potential to lead to a hung parliament in future decision-making. And nobody wants a hung parliament. Tens of thousands of people took to the streets, some celebrating, some protesting and clashing with police. In Iran, Masoud Pezeshkian, who's known as a reformist, has won the presidential election, with promises, among other things, of reaching out to the West for diplomacy. In the United States, at least 3 people have died and 2.7 million people have been left without power in Texas thanks to Hurricane Beryl, which has been downgraded now to a tropical storm as it moves northeast towards Arkansas. And Russia fucking bombarded Ukraine with missiles, killing at least 37 people, injuring 170 people, and partially destroying a children's hospital. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky vowed to take care of the people who were injured and to retaliate, but they're already at war, so is that just more war? Welcome to the news. I'm your host, Kellerman, and here's just some of the going on in the Middle East lately. Pakistan had begun its second phase of Afghan refugee deportations, deporting 12,000 Afghan migrants in less than a week, until Amnesty International called for them to stop, saying that it was in violation of refugee and international human rights law. Pakistan, as of today, has suspended those deportations. Missile and drone attacks between Israel and Hezbollah militants in Lebanon have been escalating, with Israel killing one of Hezbollah's most senior commanders earlier this month. The U.S. House voted to bar the State Department from citing the Gaza Health Ministry death toll numbers, which are currently around 38,000. And just a few weeks later, the Lancet Medical Journal published an analysis that says the death toll could be closer to 186,000. And while the ceasefire negotiations continue, so does the fighting in Gaza. There have been reports of Israeli soldiers being killed by booby traps and ambushes, as well as IDF airstrikes on markets and near refugee camps. And just before I recorded this, an Israeli airstrike killed 29 people in tents outside of a school being used for shelter. It's the 4th school to be struck in the last 4 days. Though it was reported that Israel did give an evacuation order ahead of time. Welcome to the news. I'm your host, Kellerman, and here's some of the weird that's been going on in the world lately. In Spain, thousands of residents have been taking to the streets of Barcelona, protesting excessive tourism and spraying tourists with water guns. To combat the rise in tourism, the mayor is committed to eliminating Airbnbs and short-term rental properties within 5 years and increase tourist tax charges. Boeing will be pleading guilty to 1 count of conspiracy to defraud the FAA in a case that stems from 2 plane crashes that killed 346 people a few years ago. The families of the victims were suing for $24 billion, but the plea deal will cost Boeing only $487 million. NASA's Mars simulator crew has emerged after a little more than a year in a 1,700 square foot 3D printed habitat made to simulate the conditions of being stationed on the Red Planet. And scientists at the University of California, Berkeley released a new study showing that most tampons being sold in stores contain concerning levels of toxic metals, including arsenic and lead. What's really crazy is that it's 2024, and this is the first study of its kind. Follow me if you give a shit. And I gotta tell you, this was my first time searching the word tampon on TikTok. I was not prepared. Welcome to the news. I'm your host, Kellerman, and here's some of the shit that's been going on in the world around you. In South Africa, Cape Town has been hit by a week of storms that have caused major flooding, destroyed almost 1,000 homes, and displaced 4,500 people. And in Merafong, a minibus carrying school children was hit from behind, causing it to overturn and catch fire. 11 children were injured, and 12 died, along with the bus driver. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited Vladimir Putin in Russia, reportedly planning to secure a uranium supply pact. Meanwhile, Japan and the Philippines signed a defense pact, sharing concerns about China's growing power and hostility. And United States President Joe Biden held a self-proclaimed big boy press conference to assure everyone of his cognitive acuity, and he f***ed it up. Pretty bad. I'll probably do a watch along this weekend, so follow me if you give a shit. Hi, welcome to the nice news. I'll be your host, Kellerman, and here are some of the good things that have happened in the world lately. Mr. Beast, the world's most popular YouTuber, built 100 houses in Central and South America and gave them to families that had lost their homes from natural disasters. Michael Bloomberg made a $1 billion donation to the Johns Hopkins University School of Medicine, covering the full tuition for most students. Archaeologists in Bulgaria accidentally discovered a 1,500-year-old marble statue of the Greek god Hermes in pristine condition. Copenhagen launched a new program where visitors can earn free meals, bus fare, museum tickets, and more simply by participating in eco-friendly activities like picking up litter or riding a bike. And materials engineers at the University of Delaware have made a breakthrough in clothing recycling, creating a new chemical process that separates artificial fibers like nylon from natural ones like cotton. It's pretty cool. Follow me if you give a care. Welcome to the news. I'm your host, Kellerman, and here's some of the that's been going on in the world this weekend. In the United States, someone tried to assassinate Donald Trump. While Trump was speaking at a rally in Pennsylvania, 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks climbed on top of the roof of a building and took a few shots at him. One of the bullets grazed Trump's ear and an audience member was killed. Secret Service snipers quickly returned fire, killing Crooks before he could escape or do more damage. Oh yeah, that's scary. I'm gonna do a watch-along of the speech up until that point on my Substack if you're curious about that. In Nigeria, a 2-story school collapsed, killing 22 students and injuring 132 others. In West Africa, the military leaders of Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger have signed a treaty forming their own union called the Confederation of Sahel States. And in Gaza, somewhere between 90 and 150 people were killed and 289 were injured in a strike on a camp for displaced people in Khan Yunis. The IDF says that they were targeting Hamas military chief Mohammed Diif, who masterminded the October 7th attack, but they have not yet been able to confirm whether or not they got him. So, follow me if you give a